Hey everybody, this is Captain Kyle with Fandom Spotlite. I'm here with Jay Bonansinga, awesome author and good friend. And he is working on an amazing project that we wanted to share with you. He is working on unreleased Stan Lee superhero stories, and we want to talk to him about that. But before that, how are you doing, Jay?
I'm hanging in there. I'm feeling, pretty good considering.
Well, that's awesome.
I mean, you can imagine being a, horror writer. I'm very paranoid and germophobic and hypochondriacal. And so, but, that's the bad news. But the good news for me is that, I live the life of a recluse, a hermit in my little writing lair. And I get up in the morning and my commute is, from my bedroom to my coffee machine and and then I work at home all day. So the pandemic hasn't changed that much for me. I've gotten a lot done. I finished the first book in the new series of books that shall be known as The Devil's Quintet, and co-authored by the great late Stan Lee.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Well, first of all, you're a horror author. I've read your self-storage, which was
proudly
disturbing, but it was a good disturbing. I've read your Governor books. How did you get involved in a more superhero-ish tale? How did you get this job?
That's a good question because it's on the one hand, it's not my métier, so to speak. Superheroes. I'm not known in that world as much as I am in the horror world. And I've been writing horror all my life. And, the first book that I published, I glommed onto the film adaptation of it. And I co-wrote the screenplay with George Romero. And I think that's one of the things that not only, helped me and got my career. I thought my career was just going to be all downhill from there because what could be better? George was just a saint. I really miss him. And he was a great man. And he's one of my heroes. And I got to work with him. But I think that helped me get the Walking Dead job. In the course of the Walking Dead job, I met so many people and, so had so much goodwill built up because of just the incredible Walking Dead phenomenon and the Walking Dead brand. And, I met Stan Lee's agent, Susan Crawford, and she said, you might be the guy I've been looking for years to work on one of Stan's unpublished superhero premises. Just the phrase "unpublished Stan Lee superhero,"
yes,
is so interesting, to a fanboy. and she got me involved in it, and I kind of auditioned for Stan Lee, and he loved my work, and he said, "Let's do it." And so he hired me. And I started working on it, and he passed away like a month later. And I thought I was crushed, and like everybody, and I figured the project was dead. But when I finally called up Susan and I said, "I'm really sorry, Susan. I know you guys were very close, and it's a great loss. It's a disturbance in the force and everything." And I said, "So, it was good idea while it lasted, but I'm sure, this thing's not going to happen." And she goes, "What? No, this thing is more valuable than ever. It stands one of his last superhero, teams that he cooked up, and it was so dark. I think that's my guess, is that it was so dark that it couldn't find a home while he was alive. But he really believed in it, and he wanted it to start as a novel. He wanted it to start in prose, and so that's how I got the job, and it's this crazy premise, it's kind of brilliant. It's timely. That's the one thing that sunk the hook into me. To have a group of superheroes whose powers are bestowed upon them by the devil. It captured my imagination, and also these 5 people were super badass intelligence operatives, former Navy SEALs. So they already had they
had skills.
They had skills, exactly. But anyway, go ahead.
It was Stan's idea to not go to comic books first, to actually put it into novel. Yeah. Because you short-circuited one of my questions. I'm like, why are we going in this direction?
Yeah, right. So, well, I believe, and also, the folks at POW, led by a gentleman named Gil Champion, who was Stan's partner, who is a wonderful guy, and he's very supportive of this whole thing. It's really it's a labor of love for Gil and his people, and he believes they're going to be, there'll be comic books, there'll be comic books involved, there'll be all kinds of ancillary versions of it. In fact, we're close to we have people who are close to making a deal to make a TV series out of it. So it'll be in other media. It's just, I've stumbled into so many things in my career. I stumbled into The Walking Dead. It fit me like a glove, or I fit it like a glove. I loved it so much, and Robert Kirkman clicked with my work. He loved what I was doing, and I say loved. I mean, maybe he liked what I was doing.
Which actually brings me to the next point. Obviously you have some experience working with a comic creator and creating novels, which may have actually contributed to your getting this job.
Yeah.
But also, I'm sure that he had a creative direction, at least at first. I know later on he gave you he let you off the leash, but at first he probably had a very strong creative direction that he wanted you to follow. Is that the case here? Are you constrained? Are you having to submit chapters?
Great question. Well, there's almost an eerie kind of similarity. I've never really put this into words yet because it's so new. I mean, the book doesn't come out till early 2022, but there's an eerie similarity between the 8-page outline that Stan created for a novelist. Before he even met me, he created this outline and he was hoping that he could find somebody like me to, put the meat on its bones, so to speak. And almost identical work methods that Kirkman used. Kirkman would give me these, 10-page, 12-page outlines for an entire novel, and they were very much like his comic scripts. If anybody's ever seen either one of these, iconic people, Kirkman or Stan Lee's comic book scripts, they're very conversational almost. They're very informal. He'll tell a story. He'll describe the panels of the comic book, but he'll do it in a conversational way with his artists and his right. He'll go. Remember in issue 71 when we saw Michonne on the boat. Okay, well, we start out with a flash page. It's kind of like that. She kind of looks like that, but she's been weathered a little bit. You'll figure it out. You'll do a great job. He wrote these outlines for me in the same way. He's like, they reach Atlanta, Jay, and then one of them dies, and I'm sure you'll come up with a fabulous way for them to die. And then we move on. It was really fun. It was really, so I was off the leash in a way because, I had to describe these things. Robert never mentioned to me, make sure you really describe the odor of a zombie in
that would be a
great detail.
But if you could describe in great detail, that would be a testament to your writing ability. It smelled like rotten eggs mixed with kerosene.
Right.
That's been in the sun for a little bit too long. Right. So, and people would actually try that concoction.
I wrote an entire segment in one of the Walking Dead novels describing the difference between a small pack of zombies and a herd in terms of smell.
I could imagine. So you have similar creative freedom here, where it's a very informal.
Yeah.
This Devil's Quintet, you said you've got the first book is just about done. How many books is it going to be, or is it going to be like ongoing? Do you have like, once you go through Stan's stories, are you going to be continuing on beyond that? That is a question.
We will. I mean, I've been contracted for a certain number of books, like everything. And, you know, it was the case with The Walking Dead. I'm not really allowed to speak to any, you know, details of the plot or the characters but I think it's okay if I mention, you know, this is a series. This is an origin story that Stan dreamed up, and it really meant something to him. There was something really powerful beneath the surface that he wanted to see articulated in as many media and for as long as possible. He wanted this to be the beginning of a new, franchise, a new IP. And so, yeah, I'm contracted for a certain number, and I'm sure it'll, hopefully, knock wood, it'll keep going.
Well, that is very awesome.
Yeah,
I'm very happy for you and this opportunity. Now, POW Entertainment is behind this. So is it going to have any tie-in to Marvel, or is Marvel just totally separate? They can get into the bidding war if they want to try to do a TV series, but they have no rights to it at all.
That's well said. I mean, yeah, this is apart from Marvel. You know, Marvel was sold, and I think it's owned by Disney now. And
yes.
It's completely separate from POW. Have you heard of that company, Disney? I've heard good things. I've heard
some good things.
I've heard some good things and bad things.
But let's not talk about Song of the South. But but yeah, so it's interesting. Stan Lee's legacy is not with Marvel, his final works, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, this is something you may or may not know. Are there more gems that are, hidden away in the Stan Lee vaults that we might expect to one day be unearthed, and you'll be working on those books too?
Well, can you see me right now?
I can see you.
I don't know for sure, but
okay. That's no more need be said, because I don't want, I don't know if POW has the same type of ninja assassins that Disney sends out.
right.
That will come in and
they've all got high-powered attorneys, believe me.
But that's awesome. So it's a new adventure. Yeah. So the premise is the devil gives these people powers. And I did read that they are trying to, despite the infernal nature of their powers, they are trying to do some good in the world.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, without giving anything away, I was instantly fascinated by the subtext of it, which, a lot of people don't go there, or they just don't care. And that I get that. But I started when I was a young writer. I always thought, fantasy and horror and science fiction, it really is, for me, the most powerful of genres because of the subtext. It's a mythology. It's a fable. Usually it's a parable. It's about something in our society that's beyond articulation, but can be really explored in these fantastic stories, and I just thought this is so timely about being, a soldier for a country that's sending you into battle, and asking yourself, is this righteous? Is it wrong? Is the motive behind it good or evil, and man, it just seemed like it really spoke to so many fascinating political and psychological elements of today, especially with combat and soldiers. And I just love that about it. None of it is overt because Stan Lee was a genius at creating these great human, sized superheroes, like that had human emotions and doubt and, shades of gray and foibles and stuff. That's what makes, I think Spider-Man's one of the greatest superheroes ever invented because of that, because he was so relatable. He had such a, doubt and human emotions and stuff. And that's what made the superpowers more interesting,
And he wasn't rich. He wasn't, he didn't have, powers from another planet that made him godlike. I mean, he had powers. A lot of people do say Marvel heroes are much more relatable than DC heroes. They're more like gods, whereas Marvel heroes are men who strive to do better.
Yeah, I have to kind of agree with that. I love DC. I love, Batman's probably one of the most influential archetypes in my writing career. I'm still writing my own books. I mean, I have one coming out in April that I'm really proud of. It's called Saint Oswald. I'm really proud of it, and it's not horror and it's not a superhero story. It's not fantasy. It's a noir crime novel.
Awesome. Is there anything more that you can say, or are you pretty much tapped out of what you can tell us about the new Stan Lee project?
I can say this. It's got all the elements of Stan Lee. It's got, very relatable, human, flawed, interesting, likable, superheroes. It's got a villain who's, a mythic villain, Lucifer. But with all that said, it's extremely quirky. There's a lot of people in the superhero universe who have looked at it and gone, I don't know what to do with this. They look at it and they go, what is this? And I think that's the power of it. I think that's the strength of it. It's extremely oddball on one level, kind of superhero universe that it creates for itself, but mostly because whenever the devil is involved in a story, I think I can say this too, you have to it's like writing a story about Santa Claus. It's an iconic household word. It's a bobblehead. It's the devil has been done to death, no pun intended. He's been done in all kinds of tones. There's the devil in Daniel Webster. There's that theatrical kind of, sardonic devil. There's, a lot of times the devil is like a slick salesman, and then there's other times when the devil is like a monster. That was, I will say I'm really proud of what we came up with, and that was one of the big challenges of the book. What do you do with the devil? What does the devil sound like?
I've been rewatching Supernatural. Lucifer was very different in there than the show Lucifer, which is he's very charming. And then our dear friend Jason Douglas actually played Satan on Preacher, and he was done up in red and so there's so many visions of the devil. It's amazing.
Exactly.
So I am very anxious to see yours, and it will be great. And I want to thank you for taking the time to tell us a bit about. I don't want to go too much further because you might spill something, and I don't want the assassins.
I appreciate it.
but again, thank you so much, Jay, for taking the time. Thanks to everyone out there who's watching this, and. Definitely check out in the description. There's links to Jay's social media, and check out his new book again, which is
Saint Oswald.
Saint Oswald. So check that out, coming out this April. And of course, in 2022, we have the new Stan Lee superhero team, the Devil's Quintet. So that's going to be awesome. So everyone, again, keep on watching, check out Jay, and as always, have fun and follow your fandom.
Hi, this is Aaron Ashmore, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe like now. Oh, and have fun and follow your fandom.